Although the games from Rockstar are works of art, you should still remember that people work in the studio as well. Yes, there are many geniuses here, but they are still people who share many of the same qualities as you, us, or your friend Frank. It is the fact that we all simply make mistakes and, moreover, it is often difficult to catch them. Rockstar games also, contrary to appearances, can boast of a large number of stumbles that we encounter while traveling through the Grand Theft Auto series. Bugs can be found both in the game's plot, but also in the gameplay in the form of various types of glitches and bugs. And while some of these shortcomings help players play the game in an unusual way, many of them make us feel somewhat confused. Therefore, it is good to follow the plot carefully to avoid moments when we do not know what's going on. Regarding all of this, in this material, we take a closer look at the movie The Introduction, which is kind of a prologue to GTA San Andreas, and we will show you what mistakes we managed to catch. Of course, if you notice something that we do not mention, we would be grateful if you posted this error in the comments. At the very beginning, it is worth mentioning what errors we will be dealing with. Two types of errors will be distinguished: logical errors and canonical errors. The logical error concerns the presented world and the plot of the game. An example of such a mistake is the conversation about money in the last mission in GTA Vice City. In the credits of the cutscene with Lance and Ken, we see that 3 million is written down. Tommy, on the other hand, is talking about 20 million.
Ken, you get the first run of counterfeit cash and put 20 mil in briefcases.
Well, in the conversation with Sonny, the question of 3 million comes up again.
There's 3 mil in the cases.
How many was it, 10? No, 11 men!
Something obviously doesn't fit in here, does it? And when it comes to canonical errors, they concern situations that are contrary to the plots of other parts of GTA, or related films such as The Introduction. A perfect example is Miguel, who allegedly dies in GTA LCS, that is in 1998, to appear suddenly in GTA 3, which takes place in 2001. Anyway, the first priority is canonical errors, of which there are much fewer. The first such anomaly appears during a cutscene, where 3 Ballas are talking to each other in an alley in the Ganton district. The Ballas stand in the alley as if nothing had happened, although this area was controlled by Grove Street from the beginning of the game. Given this fact, it would be difficult for them to get to this area, as they would probably be quickly fired upon and chased away, or even killed. This suggests that the Ballas may have been controlling the upper part of the Ganton district until the GTA San Andreas action begins. To better illustrate this, it's best to have a look at the Los Santos map with gang areas. It can be seen that Ganton is divided into 2 parts. The lower part is often attacked by hostile gangs, probably because it allows you to quickly get to the heart of the gang, that is, the famous Grove Street, whose possible takeover would be a powerful blow for Sweet and his friends. Another canonical error is a different arrangement of containers in front of the drug factory, which we destroy in the mission Yeka Boom Boom. As you can see in the attached video, the look is very different from the introduction. This gives us the suspicion that the additional containers could contain drugs that had already entered the market circulation before the beginning of the game. Another possibility is that the developers just nonsensically threw out 2 extra containers for no good reason. Such an eventuality, of course, does not have any meaningful explanation for the game world, and therefore may cause the aforementioned confusion. Moving on, the last canonical error we noticed is the existence of Luigi's Sex Club 7 between 1987 and 1992, because that was when CJ was in Liberty City. This is clearly a mistake due to the fact that, according to the events of GTA Liberty City Stories, the action of which takes place in 1998, there was Polly's Review Bar, which during the plot turned into Luigi's Club. Therefore, according to the events of the GTA LCS and 3, also noting that both worlds exist in the same universe, the club should not exist. Perhaps only if it would be under a different banner. Well, now let's move on to purely logical errors, which we have accumulated a bit. The first scene is a cutscene, where Frank Tenpenny and Eddie Pulaski return from the apartment complex in Ganton. This is a mistake, because Tenpenny mentions an obese person to us, letting us know that he has been persuaded. It is, of course, Big Smoke. And the mistake is that both officers do not come back from the side of his first house, the photo of which is now shown on the screen. Yes, we know there could now be people who will say, wait a moment, after all, the gentleman from Crash would come back from Big Bear, not from Smoke. In the game, we can find an unused model of this character, where we see that Big Bear has a few kilos more than during the events of the game itself. However, we can approach this possibility from 2 points of view. First, there is not a single reference in the game's storyline that Big Bear had anything to do with Crash besides B-Dupe. But on the other hand, in one of the deleted dialogues from the mission Beat Down on B-Dupe, CJ mentioned how much Big Bear's appearance changed after he became addicted to drugs, to which he replied jokingly that it was the best diet he was on. So, it turns out that Big Bear may have been overweight from the time of the introduction until his drug addiction started in Cleaning the Hood mission. This may be due to the use of the so-called cocaine diet that can lose weight drastically. That would explain the diet dialogue we mentioned in the video.
CJ, you take care of Bear, okay?
Yeah, for sure. Come on, Bear. Time for a little detox.
Oh man, do I have to?
Have you looked at yourself in the mirror lately?
Most successful diet I ever been on.
Another mistake is that, after making a maneuver towards the main street in the red light district, CJ suddenly drives down one of the main streets of Chinatown. Perhaps Rockstar North did not catch it at the beginning. Maybe they caught it, but it was too late to make corrections. Maybe they didn't care and hoped that no one would notice it, or they wanted it to be just some kind of Easter egg and they did it on purpose. There can be many different interpretations of it. We can also catch the inconsistency in the movie The Introduction during the first conversation between Salvatore Leone and Johnny Sindaco. We mean the moment when Salvatore talks about the fact that he will have to have shares from the casino with the Sindaco Mafia and the Forelli Mafia, probably, because what Salvatore says does not indicate it too much.
Organization in the Corellis.
Probably Frank Vincent, rest in peace, voicing Salvatore Leone, either twisted the name and Rockstar didn't notice it, or it was a deliberate mockery. Let us know what you think. In all this confusion, there is also a cutscene with a green Sabre that leaves a garage in the Commerce District. For some people, the obvious fact is that the car should leave the garage in the Verdant Bluffs District, near which Caesar asks us to meet up in the game. The case can be considered in 2 ways. Either it is a simple mistake or a deliberate crash and the Ballas attempt to cover up the tracks, which is quite a common occurrence in criminal circles. Another slip-up we can see is the mysterious phone booth near the Gateway Motel that Ken Rosenberg uses to call Tommy Vercetti. This booth is mysterious because when we come to the motel in the game itself, we won't find any telephone booth there. The next inaccuracy is the cutscene where Kent Paul is after signing a management contract with the Gurning Chimps. As many of us may notice, it's all done in Mad Dog's recording studio, although the movie tells us it's Salford, England. Well, unless the band had the same designer for the recording rooms, yeah, sure. Another situation where we can spot a certain shortcoming is a scene in which Mickey, that is a member of the Sindaco Mafia, is buried. He was supposed to look after the business in the Caligula casino, but he was eventually murdered and replaced by Ken Rosenberg. However, what is most important in all of this is the location of the burial of Mickey's body. The video shows many animations suggesting that a hole has been dug, to be precise, when a member of Sindaco enters or exits an alleged ditch. In fact, when we go to that place in the game, we won't find any ditch near where Mickey may have been buried. There will certainly be people who will refer to the mass grave containing 6 bags of bodies near the Area 69. Nevertheless, we can assure you that this location has absolutely nothing to do with this scene because both locations are firmly away from each other, and Mickey himself was not thrown down in the sack. However, we do know, thanks to leaked files from Defective Edition, that the ditch was the same as the one Hernandez fell into during high noon. And finally, we have the last minute of the introduction movie, where we can find 2 big mistakes. The first shortcoming is the premature reaction of 2 passersby passing between the Johnson house and the Ryder house. Suddenly, they both crouched as if they knew there would be a shooting for a few seconds before it happened. The only explanation that exists is that, by some miracle, they saw the Ballas from afar on their way to the most important area of Grove Street, so they could expect a lot of confusion. And while that event could be somehow justifiable, the next one cannot be justified. This is the moment when CJ learns of the death of his mother. Of course, CJ should still be in Liberty City when he got the call. Meanwhile, CJ is sitting in his car in Los Santos, in the Commerce District to be precise, near the tallest building in the city. Let us know in the comment section below if you have found some other creators' mistakes, because we do realize that there is a chance we missed something. Meanwhile, thank you for watching, and we invite you to our next episodes.